With Fnatic all but locking up the first seed, now is the time to fight it out for the second. This is the battle for the bye.
For me, Splyce and Vitality, you have an early game Titan and a late game Titan. And then they will be clashing very hard.
You've got an incredibly hyped Splyce right now that are playing some of the cleanest macro that we have seen in a long time.
And Misfits, there's literally nothing they can do.
Splyce looking so clean right now. I might have to board the hype train. This is Misfits' final answer.
On the other side, you've got the polar opposite. Vitality are animalistic, savage almost.
I think against Vitality, you really have to not get behind.
Sion is looking for a flank.
What can he find? Jizuke forced to use the ult defensively. First blood available for Vitality and secured by Gilius. A flawless flank by Vitality.
Nice roam there from Cavos.
I think if they don't get ahead, we have a good chance.
And the matchup we've got to look at is going to be the AD carries. Because Sing has been picking things like Zillion, like Lulu. These are all AD carry enhancers. And they make an already great AD carry like Kabe look absolutely incredible.
He's around, and here's the engage. There's the engage double knock-up. Here's the hero's entrance as well, and G2 are falling to pieces. Yanan goes down. Redid has to flash away, but the taunt is big, and G2 fall twice.
From my impression, they weren't really nothing impressive. They actually crumbled a lot, and maybe it was because I was 6.
Down towards the bottom lane here, coming to Sing, not pushed up too far. Flash play into the hook as well from Jack Trollick. That comes down. They're looking for the kill on Kobe. Can they get the first blood? They secure it.
They didn't outplay us because they had a jungler at their lane at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Oh my god, how is that even TVT? My god. I just think last time we played against them, we were too disrespectful, and that's why we lost.
If we play our game, I think it should be easy, and it shouldn't be like surprising that we win against them, and they shouldn't be surprised to lose against us.
Lane dominance and instinct versus impeccable macro and late game. The battle for the bye is on.
Welcome back to the LCS Spring Split and our match of the week between Splyce and Vitality, where I am joined for the introduction of the game, as well as Pixamans by Amazing and the Fish Show. How are you feeling about your predictions now, huh?
Yeah, you know, Rocket played really well. They deserve it. I made a mistake. But game one, on the other hand...
Yes. TLDR, things have been crazy today, and hopefully they will continue to be crazy here. The stakes for Vitality, they will lock a spot in the playoffs with a win over Splyce, but next to that, they're also both contesting for that second place. This is the Vitality roster. We also have a lot of fans from Portugal here for Mini Trupex. Bem-vindo to all of them. And so let's take a look at this roster that started off very, very hot in the beginning of the split. We've said it many times, exciting rookies, and that then had a bit of a dip, is now starting to find their footing. But what level are they at now, and are they at a level where they can challenge Splyce?
Challenge Splyce, yes, they should be able to. I kind of struggle to figure out how strong they are at the moment, because after the 0-4, after they lost 4 games in a row, they definitely bounced back a little bit, but they're now just a bit inconsistent.
We'll see. They're up versus Splyce on the other side of the rift. They are currently on a 5-game winning streak, and Amazing, you already said it at the top of the show. The top side of the map for them is showing a lot of improvement.
Yeah, and I'm really happy about Xerxes' improvement, because in the beginning of the split, I really thought he was most often an AFK jungler that really didn't do anything at all. But he's actually come into his own, actually plays more like he did on Unicorns, where he's aggressive and actually controls the early game a bit, where he doesn't let Olamne fall behind and actually finds place on his own.
So let's get your predictions before we dive into picks and bans. Splyce or Vitality?
Splyce.
Splyce.
I have Vitality, so...
Yeah, I know. I actually know.
God,
so guys, if you don't know, we have predicted all these games. You can check out Lily Sports' Twitter for all of our votes.
And check who's currently winning those predictions.
Yeah, check that and then let us know, because I certainly don't know. Let's see what they go for here in picks and bans. The Zac immediately taken away from Xerxes. I think that's no surprise. He was so good on that last week.
Yeah, it's kind of been his best jungler. He's actually used it really well to defend against a lot of aggressive tower pushes, because Splyce, of course, do have a habit of being a little bit slow in the early game, fall a bit behind, and then rely a lot on just kind of stalling until that 25-30 minute mark.
Yeah, basically so far it's been his go-to tool, and I think maybe the Sejuani is going to be something he's going to look for instead of it, because it still offers like the same kind of teamfight utility.
Yeah, I definitely don't think the junglers are going to get banned out. Who do you think will get targeted here from Vitality on the Splyce squad?
I mean, early on, it's just a little bit of everything. They remove Zyra Khan, which I think is good, also because Copy Zyra is insane. The GP ban is actually a little bit surprising. It is a pick that Europe abandoned last week, but other regions still continue to play it, especially over in North America. We saw it a few times, but it is removed now, specifically against Caposhot, kind of telling me they want to have an early tank for Omna and don't want to have the GP pick coming in against it.
We'll see. AD carry Caitlyn. Quick lock-in for Mini Trupax. He has a lot of AD carries to choose from, but I think we can agree he's very strong on Caitlyn. So we'll see what they decide to go for after that.
Yeah, I'm really wondering what kind of supports are actually good into Caitlyn, because like this on AD carries too, like bot lanes in general, it's really hard to say because Zaya's already out. That you basically play into Caitlyn.
I mean, you can play Varus still if you can actually play around Rageblade Spike on the side of Splyce. Tristana is there, and a lot of AD carries are fine grabbing her, despite a range nerf coming in on this patch. Still does like offer you somewhat flexibility in the draft because she's both fine in the laning phase, but also decent scaling on her side. I just don't think she's as good as Caitlyn at the moment, of course, which is why Splyce were opting into this trade. Give the best AD carry available, and then get Sion specifically for yourself.
Do you think that Sion is going to be a flex pick or not?
It can always be a flex pick. I think it's worse now that Ban of Command and Baron buff have been nerfed, the combination of them, because one of the things that was so good about Sion mid was you could rush Banner and effectively take the mid lane turret every single game, and that is not going to happen anymore.
So we have the Thresh locked in for Jack Troll, and then the
blind pick Thresh.
most likely for Cabochard.
I'm not a fan. Like Vitality seems to be the only team actually in EU that actually values Thresh to any extent, and blind picking is so weird to me because even the matchups that they ran into, where they played into Braum, for example, it's not even a good matchup for you. It's just, if you're mechanically better, you may go even, but that's what it...
Well, that's probably what he thinks, knowing
Let's
Jack
think
Troll.
about it here, because Splyce love to play range supports on Kasing. Ooh, Jhin coming in. Ton of buffs happening.
Buff
Nice.
Very good laning phase now. Can definitely answer the Caitlyn, so that's going to be a new one. But if we think about Kasing's choices, he likes to play range supports. We've seen Lulu, Janna, Zillion. Thresh does have kill pressure against them, kind of explaining why they grab it now. And I think with Vitality, they're like, if we don't take it early, it's going to get banned in the second phase, and they really want that comfort pick for Jack Troll, whether it's the correct choice or not.
Yeah.
That seems to be the goal with picking it this early.
I kind of would have liked to see maybe an Olaf actually in that pick rotation. I think it would have been good with a Shen and like bottom priority into the Sejuani, but I guess they just waited for the second ban phase and now have it gone.
But I think if you're Yamato Cannon, you look at the jungle pool and you say Skarner, Olaf, Kha'Zix, all three are still available. They can only ban two of them. There is still the chance of getting a high-profile jungle pick for Gilius. Jax is also still here in this draft. So I think Yamato clearly...
Jax and Kha'Zix are way below though, I think, right now. But yeah, I agree. Oh, Jonah.
I think with Kha'Zix, we're seeing some junglers favored very highly and other junglers don't want to touch
like
it.
Maxilor.
Like Maxilor as one of the examples, but I think Yamato just said, with the Caitlyn, we can win bot lane. That's going to be our goal. We can punish Kasing, who's not been that strong in lane, and some of his scaling support choices can get shut down. Shen as well, just to further emphasize the bottom lane. They could play things like Talia mid lane for Jizuke, and man, you can roam bot lane 20 million times.
So that's going to be the main focus from Vitality. Do you think they're going to put a lot of stock into shutting that down early and just trying to get ahead early in the game? Because that's usually where Vitality has found their success.
Yeah, they're gonna do it again. They have to with a Shen pick on the top lane, like then Caitlyn Thresh bottom lane. If they don't make any plays, I think they're gonna fall far behind, especially now. Like I'm eager to see what Splyce is gonna pick now because
I almost have to go Braum or something. But Kasing's melee supports are not that great.
But I think if you get a melee support right now, it's if you get Tam or Braum, I think it's Tam is actually out for them.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be Taric.
Okay, so
that's not bad.
I actually like the setup you can do in lane with Taric CC into snare from Jhin, but the Taric ult is something that can come in clutch at level 6, but before that you can get punished by especially early Shen level 6, of course, hovering that one. There's the Talia we talked about.
Prediction God, the Fisher strikes again.
Even more roaming bot lane
and the Kha'Zix.
I'll take 2 for 2 on that one. I'll take 2 for 2.
This... Okay, so...
It's fine, amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so in a picture-perfect world, do you think that Vitality's draft is good?
I think if you are really good at executing, let's say you're King Zone or something, oh my god, I love it. I absolutely love it.
If you're King Zone, I would pick this team.
But you're not, obviously, so there is something that can go wrong from Team Vitality when it comes to execution, because Splyce is scaling with tanks and Vladimir now, insane.
So who wins the draft?
I mean, in a picture-perfect world, if both teams just play normally, I think Splyce should win 9 out of 10 times. But if Vitality just has these early games coming in and early games coming in,
it might still be Sion mid, and it's going to be Vladimir top here. So I want to see if he just goes full tank without banner early. But the thing that he can still do is his wave push early is super good on Sion, and he's going to try and keep Taliyah in lane.
and the dumb thing is also that he can actually somewhat follow the Taliyah.
Yes, he can ult with it. That's actually really smart from Peter Dunn. I didn't expect to see a lot of Sion mid still, but in this case here, it makes a lot of sense to try and match the roaming of Jizuke. Splyce, stall, don't fall too far behind. Vitality, it's all about snowballing the bottom lane with this draft here.
I think it's going to be decided within the first 10 minutes. If Vitality get a lead in the first 10 minutes, I think they can actually snowball. But if that point is gone and the first schedule doesn't hit, I think it's pretty...
Especially with the long cooldown on it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. The coaches shaking hands for this very important matchup, which will decide a lot of the chances for these teams to get second place, to get that bye, and to be locked in immediately in the semifinals. Interesting compositions, to say the least.
Really cool pick and ban phase. I like what Vitality are trying to do with try and snowball on bottom side and use, Taliyah ult plus Shen ult. But the answer, man, they even swapped the Sion top lane. We got so baited. It made
why did they?
It actually made sense.
Why did they swap? No.
All right, well, I stand by it. Sion mid is not going to be used too much anymore. It was really cool.
The European innovators.
All right, Jizuke can go bot.
We got baited. Well, let's see what happens. The team's already on the rift, so let's get started with our match of the week.
Thank you very much, Shox. I'm Aaron Medic Chamberlain here with Andrew Vediastay, and it is still Sion in the mid lane, thankfully. They didn't get debated. He's going to sit there in the mid lane. We're going to have to see how well he does at rotating around. Niski has been a lot better when he's facilitating his teammates than when he's trying to win that 1v1 matchup in the mid. And against Jizuke, that's not something you can commonly do.
Very, very true. The last time we did see the Sion mid was from Senkux last week for Misfits. In lane, it was fine, but unfortunately, he wasn't really able to have that much of an influence with it. We'll see if Niski can change things up going into the Taliyah.
Now, Vedias, it is important before we get into the meat of this game that we talk a little bit about some standings implications that have already happened today. Now, we had a playoff checkoff before this, but I was informed by the Vitality backroom staff that they are actually already locked in playoffs. We checked it with our own numbers, and they are. Both Vitality and G2, because they're at 9 wins, and only Roccat and Giants can now match them at 9 wins, are locked into their playoff spot. So this becomes much more a fight for the bye and for that second spot than for Vitality to try to get into playoffs.
Very good insight there. Thank you very much, Medic. So, what that means is we have now reduced the number of playoff spots from 4 to 2.
Halved them.
Pretty much what everyone expected, I would say. And for Vitality, they're going to feel very happy securing themselves their playoff spot. So congratulations to Vitality. As you rightly said, this is very much a fight for second place. Don't want to get too micro into the intricacies of the whole scoring system and tiebreakers because it's a long story. Instead, let's just focus in on the game. Let's talk about what we're seeing, because we heard a lot from our analysts that for Vitality, they kind of need to get ahead in the early game. Now, that doesn't mean that within the first 5 minutes they need a goal lead. It means that they need to take advantage of the level 6 Shen down in the bottom lane. They need to take advantage of the pushing power that they should have on the Caitlyn and the Thresh. And you want to be seeing this Taliyah roaming around in the early game, trying to utilize that ultimate to set up some early plays. And already we can see Vitality off to a pretty good start.
And we'll have to see how Splyce are able to answer those possibilities, because they do have Niski in the mid lane. He's got teleport. Odoamne has Ignite at the moment, but an unsealed spellbook means that he could always join a fight if it does happen down towards that bottom lane at the level 6 mark. And Taric is such a strong counter to dives in that bottom lane. If we do see Vitality go for an aggressive play, if Kasing has 6, just pops down the invulnerability and it resets the fight.
Exactly that. Now, for Splyce, when you have Xerxes playing the Sejuani, it is a little difficult for him to really set up early game ganks, and when you look across the board, there aren't exactly that many lanes for him to gank. But that basically means that in the early game, Splyce are going to be the ones on the back foot. Now, Vladimir into Shen, he should have the priority. It's very difficult for Shen to really be able to farm up against the Vlad, given that he has the range advantage. He can constantly harass you underneath your town. You kind of get this situation where the Vlad gets the free farm and scale into his mid to late game point, where he becomes a true terror. You might be curious as to why Jhin has returned to the meta, and fortunately, he did have some buffs this patch, Medic.
That he did, buffs to his passive, buffs to Dancing Grenade, his Q, and a very small buff to his W as well, meaning that he can hit them with anything and root them instead of just having to hit them with auto attacks.
It's a nice quality of life change. I really like it. I think it just gives you, as a Jhin player, a little more options, but one of the cool things, or one of the interesting things, was these buffs were supposed to help his laning phase a little bit more, give him a strong laning, but unfortunately when you're going up against Caitlyn, as you can see, it doesn't really help you that much. So Kobbe just doing his best to facilitate what's been a very rough laning phase, but he is falling behind at a pretty alarming rate.
And Splyce haven't always been a team to play around the early game. At the start of the split, they continued to fall behind. At the 20-minute mark, they were behind in gold, but they still are able to win it out in the late game. Vitality, on the other hand, really rely on getting these early game leads if they're going to win. In fact, when they're behind at the 20-minute mark, they just cannot seem to win a game at all. They rely on being ahead if they're going to secure that W.
This is a really good comparison because just look at their wins, how dramatic their gold scaling is. Within 5 minutes, they're doubling the gold advantage that they're able to gain, but then in their losses, the fact that in between 20 and 25 minutes, they suddenly lose 3,000 gold, you can see how much of an early advantage means for this Vitality squad. And had the opportunity to talk to Kasing, and he was very well like, yeah, we're expecting a lot of early game pressure. They draft strong laners. This is a very Vitality thing to do, and their expectations are that they will be able to play around it. They'll be able to mitigate it, or at least that's their plan. And it is very standard for Splyce to do so, because as a team, what they've demonstrated over the last few weeks is they're not known for building a lot of leads through their laners. They don't necessarily have, let's say, a Caps or a Reckless, so people who just kind of get their own leads by themselves during the laning phase, and that's fine. What they are very good at is mitigating the enemy's snowballing strong early games. So maybe they're a little bit behind. Maybe they do struggle, but they always limit how far they are behind to make sure that come into the mid-game, they're still in a good spot and they can contest some of these neutral objectives.
I have to see if they are able to mitigate some of their early losses here, because already they're about 400 gold behind as we come towards the 6-minute mark. You can see Xerxes down towards this bottom lane, maybe anticipating that level 6 dive or gank that we thought could come out from Cabochard and from Jizuke. There's some pathing down towards that bottom lane, and here, because Vitality have some control, they can move down.
Now the important thing to note is, look at where Xerxes put that ward by the Raptor camp. This means that Splyce are very aware of the positioning of Gilius. They also know that Cabochard has the ultimate, as you just identified, Medic, but Xerxes was very much about, okay, I have wards at the entrance to blue on both sides. I have control over the Scuttle Crab as well. And this is what we talked about when it comes to mitigating from Splyce. They're just investing in a lot of early vision, and they're saying, Vitality, we know what you want to do, and we're going to make it as difficult as possible for you to do.
And Xerxes, the jungler that's really stepped up after a poor performance at the start of the split. In fact, a lot of people are looking at him as maybe the all-pro top jungler. In the last couple of weeks, he's been a lot more active in the early game, gets more kills and assists, and contributes to his team being ahead at that 15-minute mark.
I mean, for me, Xerxes is the best performing jungler in Europe right now. He does his role extremely well. He's very cognizant of what he needs to do for the team, and right now he's reacting as Vitality is setting him for the play on bar.
Here's the dive we talked about. Gilius is going to jump in. The double stun is perfect, though. Kasing dodges the knockback as well. That's exactly how Splyce wanted to answer that dive.
But Vitality will get what they want still. The early tower, 7.5 minutes into the game. You've got to remember that the last time these two teams met, Vitality were all about investing into the bottom lane, and while Vitality aren't getting the same kind of kills that they got the last time they met Splyce, they're still getting those early game leads and advantages.
And a 30 CS lead for Mini Trupax now as well. He can go back, he can pick up those starting items, maybe look towards the top lane as well, start to systematically take down towers with the early push that Vitality have.
Now, you would expect Vitality to look to try and swap either towards the top and mid, but given that there is an Infernal Drake on the board, it wouldn't surprise me if Vitality returned to the bot, pushed out another lane, and then they had the pressure that Jizuke has in the middle lane to bring him down and secure themselves the Infernal before then swapping up towards the top side and looking to go for another outer tower.
Infernal does definitely change the game plan, but Vitality are sticking to the majority of it at the moment. 1,500 gold ahead. CS leads in mid, CS lead in bot. This early game snowball that they talked a lot about on the analyst desk is definitely coming to fruition. And the question now becomes, how much can Splyce give up before they just fall too far behind, because they're now using ultimates to get back into lane to stop the pressure coming out from Vitality.
Well, personally, I'm a little bit concerned about this Jhin pick. I feel like that given a lot of the builds that I have been seeing from many pros recently, you typically go for a very early ghost play and then you go into a lot of crit. Now, the thing is for Jhin is he hits hard, he hits fast, he gets a lot of AD, and it means that his crits are pretty significant. Oh, we got a dive up top.
Dive the Shen, that's how you counter Stand United. Splyce get first blood.
Wow, okay. I was not expecting that at all. I was expecting more farming to come out from Splyce, but Xerxes, he recognizes an opportunity. He sees the amount of harassment that Odo was able to put down onto Cabo, and that was a very clean and easy first blood going in favor of Splyce.
And it's something we've seen so often is when you're playing against the Shen, you gank the Shen. You go towards where the global is.
And Xerxes spent so much of his early game just trying to facilitate the bot, trying to make sure that they weren't under too much of a loss. And the moment the bot tower went down, he was like, okay, you know what? I now see an opportunity to gank top. Let's go for it. So he even gets spotted on a ward. The Shen knows that this is coming. They should have seen Xerxes walk into the jungle, and they don't react at all. Maybe they didn't spot him out. Maybe they weren't paying attention to the minute. That ward right there should have spotted him out.
Observers know.
The observers are aware. Regardless, Vitality were not, so they gave up first blood, but it looks like they will get the Infernal that we were just talking about.
They also stole away a blue buff on this rotation, so 10 minutes in, they are now in... has that Infernal in their pocket and that gold lead that we talked about a little while ago. Now they've taken the Infernal. Is this where we start to see that lane swap come out from Vitality? They move the Caitlyn around the map.
Yep, that is exactly what we come to expect. Camochard, he can just move down towards the bot, keep catching that wave. He has the ulti to join into any fights that may kick off for Vitality. But it looks like Splyce maybe setting up a play onto Jizuke. There's the teleport right now, but as you identified at the very beginning of the game, unsealed spellbook for both him and the Vladimir, so they can swap as they see fit. Speaking of swapping, here comes Vitality in the top lane.
And now we'll have to see how Odo deals with this, because Splyce are going to bring some more people up towards the top side, but Odo has a track record this split of dying quite a lot. He's getting a lot better at it. You can see last week he didn't die at all. Good job, Odo. But previously, he was one of the top lane dyers. Is that how you say it in medical speak, dyers?
I suppose that would be a pretty accurate...
Usually it's just you've either died or you haven't died in medical speak. You can't die multiple times.
Well, for Odo, he did not die at all last week, as you already identified. And for him, this graph just exemplifies the growth that he as an individual has made, not only for his own personal play, but his impact in the team as well. I think it's a really good illustration, and Odo Ame has deservedly received a fair amount of praise for his consistently good performance over the last few weeks. He will now be moving out himself as Kobe and Kasing move up towards the top side to catch the wave and the pressure that Vitality are looking to continue to keep on to the Splyce lineup. A lot of control wards invested in the Riv. That is 5 by my count there. Yeah, let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I believe the 5th one is down by the Talia, which means that there we go, number 5. Vitality, excellent vision control, will enable a very clean and easy Rift-Elton.
And it allows Jizuke to roam around the map very easily as well if he wants to get into that river, push around. This Rift Herald will help Vitality with that snowball advantage that they want. They're looking at a very good spot. All they need to do is continue to take towers, continue to keep this pressure up, continue to keep CS advantages in that AD carry role. And they look like they might be on course to challenging Splyce for that second spot.
Now, getting the outer towers should be relatively easy for this Splyce lineup. It's the next step that things start to get hard, because typically when you have this kind of an early game lead, the strategy should be... Hang on, I might have to hold off on this because I see another potential gank happening down the bottom lane. Cabo is pretty healthy, but
so sneaky.
Here comes Xerxes now. Ooh,
Bush is
Cabo
warded.
is in trouble.
Glacial Prison comes out, the stun, the Hemo Plague as well. Cabochard's going to try and taunt Xerxes underneath the tower, flashes away, but the Arctic Assault is enough to chase him down. And Cabochard will get chunked by Splyce. However, Vitality answer with a mid lane push.
Now, Splyce expected this tower to go down. When you have the Caitlyn, the Thresh, and the Rift Herald, you're guaranteed to lose this. So they just tried to trade back towards the bot side. They can get this tower... Ooh, they're actually choosing not to. They're going to have the Vladimir back away. Getting another kill onto the Shen will just put a little bit more gold into the pocket of Xerxes and Odo Ame. And this is important because this was leading up to the point that we were just trying to make before the gank kicked off. The typical steps after this kind of early game lead for Vitality would be take the outer towers and then gain control of the enemy jungle. You steal away all their buffs, you steal away their camps, you make the enemy jungler fall behind, and you basically just limit the amount of income of gold for the opposition while vastly increasing your own. You then potentially look for picks, but your primary goal is to just maintain control of the enemy jungle in order to set up for more Drakes and a potential Baron. Now this becomes hard for Vitality because of the amount of engage on the side of Splyce. You have a Sejuani, you have a Sion, you have the follow-up from the Taric as well, and it'll be that period where Splyce look to engage onto this Vitality roster. Once they've completed an item or two, once they feel a little bit more confident in their team fighting prowess that their composition is very good at, that is when Splyce will look to pull the trigger and try and stymie the early game snowball that Vitality has set up for themselves.
However, Vitality are very much on course to continue their winning ways. Usually about 1,000 gold lead at the 15-minute mark, 2,000 at the 20, 4,000 at the 25. We'll have to track that as we go along. Now we're starting to see those first items come in as well, Betty. As Banner of Command first for Niski in this middle lane.
Now this was nerfed on patch 8.5. Basically it doesn't stack on top of the old Baron anymore.
Yes. So you don't get the 50 from Banner of Command and 100 extra AD from Baron anymore. You just get either the 50 or the 100, whichever is greater. But I think Splyce aren't expecting to get a Baron anytime soon. So having a Banner early on to push out can work wonders.
It seems like that they still consider it a strong island to get underneath their belt. Will contribute to the siege as well. But I'm looking at this top lane. I think Vitality are looking for a dive.
Here comes the Weaver's Wall from Jizuke. Xerxes in the midst of it, caught between a rock and the tower as well. And they just back away. Vitality realizing the teleport's going to come in. Unstoppable onslaught straight onto the face of Jacktroll. He tries to get away, but Kobe is having none of that. Splyce with their first kill. Here comes the Cosmic Radiance as well, because they are not done. Vitality running for the wins. And Splyce eventually will have to retreat from this one because Jizuke is getting a lot of damage down from the side.
This is the hard engage from Splyce that we were talking about. Vitality set up what looked like a clean dive, but Splyce read the play. They were ready to respond. The double teleport comes in immediately, and they're able to secure themselves a kill and a tower, but can they get out?
Flash away from Kasing, but perhaps Cabo's gone too far. He's in the midst of all of Splyce. They jump onto Jizuke as well. Niski charges up the decimating smash, but does not make the connection. Gilius is still off towards the side of this one. Might look for the re-engage. Jizuke takes a bit of damage. Knocked back onto the roof. Niski there on the front line. Decimating smash. They're going to chase in. The stun. Jizuke dodging to the back. And the lantern in time. No! Jizuke gets taken out by Kobe. Gilius jumps in to take out Odo as well. And this fight might not be over yet because Gilius can sense something in the water. Goes invis, but they know he's there.
But Medic, that early game lead that Splyce built up for themselves is starting to fall apart. They tried to fight a 4v5 and Splyce punished once more. It is now a 4v3 in the top lane. That ulti from Niski is coming back up, and they have their eyes on mini Trupax.
Gilius just going to farm up these Krugs, but Xerxes is going to push him away. And as you say, Splyce evened out the scoreline here. 5 kills to 1. It doesn't matter how far ahead you were in the early game. You are still falling behind now, Vitality.
So let's have a look at how this all kicked off. Or actually, we're going to see after the first death onto Jacktroll, Kasing, he has to force the flash. Cabo trying to get the taunt, leaves himself in a member of 4 of Splyce that allowed them to easily pick up the kill. Now at this point, Vitality should just disengage, but they don't. They keep chasing. They have Gilius on the flank. They have range in the form of Jizuke and Trupac, but then Jizuke gets caught up by a fantastic deadly flourish there from Niski. A follow-up flash grenade come out from Kobe, and you're starting to see why this man is more than happy to pick up the Jhin. 2-0-1 now. He's having a great performance on it.
Still is 50 far behind, but that doesn't matter as much when you're picking up kills in fights. Vitality are going to eventually get this top lane tower, and coming up to the 20-minute mark, they are still slightly ahead, but that snowball really didn't get rolling down the hill the way they would have liked.
I'd love to see if the observers would be so kind, show us the gold right now at the differences, because I'm looking at this Vladimir specifically. Look at how strong he's been able to get himself, and the Jhin at a slight deficit. That is where a lot of the gold is going in favor of Vitality, but given the global gold that's going in the back of their pockets, you can see that Splyce are staying close. The jungler has an advantage. The top laner has that huge lead, and it's keeping the gold very, very even right now.
And for Splyce, it's 2 players that we highlighted right near the start of the game. Odo Omne and Xerxes working well together once again. Odo has died this game, so he doesn't keep his 0 death record from last week, but Xerxes involved in every kill and was able to find players when Vitality were decimating that bottom lane.
Xerxes continues to have a fantastic performance. As I said, for me, he is the best performing jungler in the EU LCS right now.
Is that your vote for the
He will be
All-Pro team?
All-Pro, my
nice.
my best performing jungler. Definitely someone worth considering as well. But also, just look again at the amount of vision both these teams have invested in, because the Baron is going to be a big point of contention. We've seen how easy it is for Splyce to engage, but Vitality have control over the river. That doesn't mean they're going to hold over it, because look at all the control wards in the inventory of Splyce.
Yeah, they got 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a lot, Velius.
That is a lot.
There's more than most people see in an entire solo QK.
See, now, the thing that always I find entertaining is sometimes when you look at this as an observer, you're like, why have they got 2 control wards? What's the point? You put one down, and then if you put another one down, you lose your last one.
It's true, it's true.
And that is the goal, in part because you have to use the control ward to first regain some of the vision that you've lost. Like in your jungle, you can see it's a little dark on the top side of Splyce's map, so they'll use these control wards initially to make sure, okay, our jungle is clear, we're safe, and then they'll look to move their vision line up. They no longer need that control ward back there because they need to gain control around the Baron. It's also a great backup in the event that the enemy team clears one out and you have that extra one available to you. So always be sure, supports and junglers specifically, to grab an extra control ward if you're about to set it back.
Syncort out here, Cosmic Radiant's going to come in, Gilius from the side as well, but Odo joins the fray, and that will force Vitality back. Odo gets onto Jacktroll, the emo play. He does so much damage right now, but the Stand United will keep him alive, and now the hook doesn't connect either. Here's Jizuke with the Weaver's Walks, blocks off Odo and Niski, and now Splyce have to work something out because Cabo's going to flash in. Jizuke kills Odo. Niski needs to run for the hills, has the flash as well if he wants to get away. Vitality win that fight.
Odo saw the flash taunt coming out, chose not to flash himself because he thought that the damage would not be enough to kill him. Turns out it was. Vitality, they secured themselves another kill. They're now setting up for a siege on the tier 2 in mid.
Great hook again. Jacktroll's been on point. The root comes out. Mini Trupax does a lot of damage. Infinity Edge and Static Shift now complete on him. You do have to look at Odo as well. If he's a primary carry, he can't be getting caught out like this. He's got Morello Nomicon and the Proto Belt. He can do a lot of work if he's still alive in these team fights.
He certainly can. You could see the amount of damage he's able to throw down onto Jacktroll. The fact that they forced the Shen ulti out, I thought was a great thing for Splyce, but then the re-engage from Vitality was a successful punish, allowing them to find a quick kill. Kill's still in favor of Splyce, but the gold heavily in favor of Vitality for now. So Kasing starts this all off by getting caught out of position. Good hook there from Jacktroll. Gilius comes up from the flank, and you think, oh no, things are going to end in disaster for Splyce, but then Odo, he goes in hard, feeling very confident on the Vladimir. Would have got the kill if it wasn't for the Shen ulti. And then this is a great war from Jizuke, and at this point, Odo should just flash. He sees the taunt coming, he knows this is going to happen. Instead, he chooses to soak up the damage, and he ends up losing his life. Fortunately for Splyce, they didn't lose that much in return. They still hold on to their tier 2. The gold's still very, very close. This is why it's our match of the week, Medic. Very, very close back and forth between two teams fighting for that second place spot.
There's so much on the line. The battle for the bye, as Pirate called it. Vitality, if they lose here, they cannot get second, and Splyce will be one step closer towards it. You have to remember as well, Vitality play G2 tomorrow, so they will want to pick up another win somewhere. Otherwise, they might be stuck at that 9-9 scoreline. Gilius is dead. Don't know why he ran into the middle of the team.
He literally ran in without the Shen ultimate, killed himself, and Splyce just pick up a free kill.
Okay, here's my question. Is that worse than Perks' play last week?
That was way worse.
Worst play in EU LCS this split.
No, look, Splyce can literally just walk up to Baron. There is no jungler, and they can force a fight. Every engage tool is available for Splyce. I literally have no idea what the hell Gilius just did.
Well, hopefully we'll see a replay, because Splyce are now looking to the Baron. They have the Banner of Command as well. You have to remember, they're not going to start it yet. They're waiting for the TP in from Cabo Shard. He's going to join the fight. Jizuke is here. Stun doesn't land. Mini Trupax didn't have to flash. He doesn't flash the stun either, though, and he's going to get caught out as well. Can't get to the Lantern. And Splyce capitalize and catch out the Portuguese sniper.
So I think this is fine for Splyce, because they still have a lot of ultimates available. They managed to get the TP out from Cabo, and they secured a kill onto Mini Trupax, now picking up the QSS. Very valuable item, going up against the engage tools that Splyce do have. But observers, please help us understand what the decision-making process here was from Gilius. He comes in from the flank, no Shen ultimate. Look, it is not off cooldown. This is This is into it. This is what this is. I literally have no idea what he's doing.
Sometimes we can't understand the mind of a god, okay? It works in mysterious ways, Vidius, and that was a very mysterious way. It didn't work out for Vitality.
Moving forwards, now Vitality, they don't want to give up the Baron for free, and Splyce, rather than take the risk, choose to go for an engage. So they find a successful pick onto Trupax. They don't get much more off the back of it other than the mid-tier 1. But remember, what's really important about this Vitality comp is that they kept the pressure up. We talked about how it gets harder because of the engage tools that Splyce have available to them. And unfortunately for Vitality, they've just taken a couple of bad fights. They've been unable to put this Caitlyn in a position to siege onto towers. And that has allowed Splyce to find fight after fight, and now they're the ones in control of the gold lead.
I have to give you credit, Vidius. You said about the 13-minute mark, the tier 1 towers are easy. It's the tier 2 towers that are difficult. And Vitality have not been able to crack that tier 2. It's all Splyce are now even on towers, ahead in gold. And we know that is a bad portent for Vitality. If their early game doesn't go as well as they want, they tend to fall behind.
Exactly that, and this is kind of Splyce's wheelhouse. They are a mid to late game team. Their team fighting is one of the best in the league, and we've seen that from the very start of the split. Their coordination, the veterancy of these players really comes into its own when they're able to group up as a 5-man unit. And with the Baron becoming the key objective, we're going to see some excellent fights between these two teams, because Vitality, they're no slouches either. You have some truly talented individuals like Jizuke, like Mini Trupax, that can be the big playmakers that swing the fight back in Vitality's favor.
So let's have a look where we are exactly at this 25-minute mark. No real goal difference between the two teams. Vitality will have an Infernal and a Cloud Drake. Splyce only have an Ocean. In terms of items, you've got a completed Rabadon's Death Cap on Jizuke. You've got 2 completed items on Mini Trupax. On the other side, still only the Morellos and the Proto Belt on that Vladimir, and then Infinity Edge and that Yumu's Ghostblade that we talked about earlier for Kobe.
Now Jizuke looking for a pick on the bottom lane.
Comes out. There's the Stand United as well, but here's the TP. Odoame's going to be alive for a while here. Jizuke on that backline. The Morello, great taunt from Cabo, though. He'll take out Odo. And now Niski has to run away, but the flash forward by Jizuke will stop him in his tracks. And Niski's caught out. Splyce are trying to answer with pressure in the mid lane, but Niski is not long for the rift. He'll flash. Cabo can't quite get the chase off. Splyce are going to come down to try and answer this one. Jack Troll is trying to cut them off if he can. Long range route, there's the decimating smash as well. Jizuke's still alive with the sound, but there's the heal, there's the invulnerability, there's the double stun, there's Jizuke going down, and Splyce have answered Vitality. Gilius looking for the flank here, he's going to jump onto Kobe and he can get there all the way to the back line, but he does not have enough damage to take down the Splyce AD carry. Still alive, Mini Trupax in the end will get the secure on the kill, and now Splyce are falling apart because Vitality have collapsed superbly.
Oh baby, these are the kind of team fights that we wanted to see. The battle for the buy is in full effect. Vitality come out on top, and they're the ones that kick this whole fight off. Jizuke and Cabo move towards the bottom lane to get a pick onto a very overextended Odo. Rather than rushing the Baron down, Splyce choose to try and answer. They're aware that Cabo has the ultimate and can join the rest of the team to try and fight back against the potential Baron start. Now at this point you can see on your mini-map, both the Thresh and the Caitlyn, they back away. They realize, you know what, that's an easy kill, no need to help out. And then they realize, oh, Niski is a lot tankier than we gave him credit for. The Deadly Flourish comes in from Kobe and you think, this is the Splyce turnaround. Great flash stun in from Kasing, the big crit comes in from Kobe, and unfortunately, Splyce want to disengage at this point, but they can't. Gilius goes in, and this play makes a lot more sense in the context of the scenario. While he does lose his life, he does the damage to enable Mini Trupax to get the kill, and he can begin the cleanup, allowing Vitality to secure the teamfight win. And overall, I think that was a 3 for 2 in favor of Vitality.
This game is so close now, Vidius. Literally 900 gold sits between these two teams, and everyone is pretty much at the mid to late game stage. You know, 3 items on both our AD carries. Interestingly, Mini Trupax went for the QSS early here, so hasn't actually completed that 3rd item. Kobe, after a bad laning phase, is now accelerated past that Caitlyn. And it's a wonder for me how we'll see this Jhin and Caitlyn interact in the late game, because Caitlyn has always been an AD carry that scales incredibly well. And Jhin still has a lot of damage in the late game, but how have the buffs affected him? We'll have to see if Kobe can do work with him here, because Jizuke was down towards the bottom lane. Splyce have now started up this Baron. Gilius looking for a steal.
It's a little slow with the Jhin. Vitality in a position. Here comes the flanking TP. That's what Splyce want.
How do they get out of this situation, though? They're going to try and engage onto Mini Trueback's Jack Troll as well. Deadly Flourish lands the hook. Odo's separated from his team, and now Splyce get back towards the wall. See if they can get away from this one.
Look at how spread out Vitality are. They've got pushing wave bot, they have priority over mid.
That's
the
where
only
Mini's going.
wave is in the top side, and what Splyce are doing is they're forcing Vitality to come back. They're forcing them to come fight them at Baron. Let's see how Vitality respond.
Lantern pulls Mini closer to the fight. Gilius coming in with the Void Assault, looking for the steal here. Splyce trying to secure it. It's Xerxes, one of our top junglers. Gilius has the stand united. There's the Cosmic Radiance as well, but Splyce don't even want the Baron. They just want the fight. They jump onto Jack Troll. They will get the kill, and now here comes Cabochard, but Odo with a great Sanguine Pull will stop him in his tracks. Vitality might continue to push forward here. Tower goes down in the mid lane. Splyce and turn back towards the Baron if they want. Now man up. Deadly Flourish lands once again. Where are the ultimates, Vedius? Niski not there yet.
Exactly that, Niski. It's on its way, though. Here comes the ulti.
Curtain call, and maybe Curtains for Vitality's hope at second place, because Mini's caught up towards the top side, and there's nothing you can do when you're run down by Splyce.
Big flank there from Odo. We praised him at the start of the game, and he deserves it once more. It is that pick that could secure the Baron for Splyce, but Gilius is still looking for the steal.
Jungle is still alive, can still steal this one away. Cabochard in the mix as well. Jizuke, our best rookie, doing a huge amount of work, and Splyce once again peel off. They're going for Cabochard. They just want to secure another kill, and they will get it in the end. Gilius jumps away, and Splyce may not have enough HP to do the Baron.
Kill after kill after kill keeps going in favor of Splyce, yet they don't get the Baron. Vitality hold the line for now. The gold remains even, and they even got themselves a mid-tier 2. Medic, this game is so close. Both these teams battling with their hearts on the line. They want that second place spot, and they're willing to do anything to get it.
What a turnaround from Vitality after that mid-split dip as well.
So let's have a look at how this fight kicked off. You can see 5 members of Vitality. They're just hanging around, looking to go for the steal, but the ult is used preemptively from Cabo because they want to try and go for the steal. Immediately, Splyce engage onto the support. You'd think that this could be quite risky, but they kill him so quickly that Vitality can't really re-engage because they don't have the Shen ulti available. Now, Splyce, they recognize that on the map, Talia is not there. She's not available. And Mini Trueback, he just takes slightly poor pathing, allowing Odo to get the flank off, secure the kill. But again, Vitality do not give up. They know that with Gilius around, the threat of a steal is always prevalent. He does have the Kha'Zix's boost of damage as well to potentially get the extra bit that he needs to steal it away. So Splyce don't take the risk. They go for another kill, and while they've extended the kill lead, they still don't have the goal lead.
And as much as we talk about the fact that Splyce and Vitality already qualified for playoffs, this battle for second spot is so important for both these teams. The ability to get a week off, not have to play in quarterfinals, not have to play an extra best of 5, and go straight to semifinals, know you have a spot in Copenhagen as well, is so crucial for these two lineups. And you can see how much it means to them from the performance they're putting on for us now. Odo's going to get the second Ocean Drake for Splyce here. Cabo? No, Odo's going. That's fine. It's only an Ocean.
So now I do believe that Elder is the next Drake on the board. We're getting to that late game stage, and this is where I start to get a little more concerned for Vitality. We talked so much about how this is an early game team. They're a team that relies on getting an early lead and snowballing. Now Gilius, that's a lot of damage.
Hemo play comes out as well, but Odo does have the Sanguine Pool. We'll look for the healing here. That's a lot of healing. Here comes the Zhonya's as well. It's actually just a stopwatch, but Cabochard should be able to secure this kill. Vitality do get it, but Splyce have started up the Baron. Now, Vitality trying to answer this. Remember, Mini Trueback and Jizuke have a lot of poke damage from the side here. Cosmic Radiance comes out. Splyce just have to try and secure it because the Glacier Prison isn't going to connect. And now Splyce is down to 1,000. Mini Trueback's there. Doesn't quite steal it, but Splyce need to get out because already they've lost their jungler. And it's Kome and Niski flashing across the wall to get away. But Mini Trueback, the Portuguese sniper, is going to run them down. There is no escape from Vitality. And Splyce have nothing left to give because Vitality are unstoppable. Niski goes down in the end as well. Vitality destroys Splyce.
Vitality find the ace. Splyce fall apart. The base is going to be broken. And this is the fight that Vitality was so looking forward to.
Holy moly, Vitality. Gilius.
They get in the game.
They might win the game. Odo's is up. We'll have the Hemo play, but it's a 1v5. This is the moment you have to step up. This is the moment you have to prove your might. If you can stop Vitality now, Odo, you are a god. The Hemo. Gilius is dead. Odo goes in with a Sanguine Pool as well. Jack Troll's dead, but Vitality are just focusing down the Nexus. Can Xerxes get onto Mini Tripax? He can, but Vitality should be able to get this one. The Nexus goes down, and Vitality are still in the battle for the buy.
Woo! What a game! Match of the week, boys. And this is what we have to look forward to come playoffs. Both of these teams have secured that spot.
1, 2,
Neither are yet to secure the bye, but Vitality are one step closer to it.
What a great start for them as well. They play G2 tomorrow, one of the other challengers for that second spot, and to take down Splyce in a game that was almost gone away from them. You know, when they failed to snowball after that early game lead, I think in my heart I was like, well, Splyce just win the late game. Splyce are just a better late game team. But Vitality made the calls they needed to secure the win in the end.
And it all came down to Gilius in the end as well. Yes, he did make a very questionable play in the middle lane, but his pick down onto Odo, the fact that they found a kill onto one of the primary damage dealers, forced Splyce into going for the Baron, and then getting an ace in the Baron buff, is exactly what they needed.
Jack Troll's getting his reward a little bit earlier than the rest of the players, maybe. Why don't you kiss me like that after games? Credit to Vitality, great performance by them. Splyce, of course, will feel a little bit let down by that, but they can still win tomorrow. They can still secure that 11-7 record that they will need to get second spot, because if G2 win later, you know either Vitality or G2 will be at 11-7 come the end of the split.
Yes, so the fact that Vitality won here means that if they lose tomorrow and then Splyce end up winning, you end up in these weird scenarios, because then G2 could even be in contention.
Vitality have the head-to-head over Splyce as well, which is very important for them. They're now 2-0 over Splyce. So if it ends up with Vitality, if Vitality and Splyce are tied, Vitality will take the top spot of whatever position we're looking at.
But then there's obviously the equation of G2, who Vitality's opposition tomorrow. We don't know if G2 will step up or not this week. They will be playing up against the Unicorns of Love later. And if they don't get a win tomorrow, then it's pretty much a neck-and-neck race between Splyce and Vitality. But then the control of second place is all in the hands of Vitality. Splyce are no longer in control of their own destiny.
At best, now Splyce can get a tiebreaker for second place. They cannot secure it outright. We'll have to see how that does go. Talking a little bit more about how Vitality were actually able to come back into that game, because after the mid-game lull, after they fell behind, it really felt like it was done. Was it purely that shot calling from Gilius that got them back into the game?
I feel like that Vitality made a shift in strategy where they said, if we can kill the Vlads without enabling them to do Baron, then we are actually in a better position to then fight them at Baron. Because as long as we send the Shen down bot, we have a TP/a Shen ulti that can quickly then join the fight, and it should keep it as a 4v4. And when you're going up against a Jhin, that is a very slow Baron-taking team. So I feel like Vitality recognized a quick way in order that they can come back into the game. They played towards it effectively, and as we saw, the Baron didn't go down fast enough, and Vitality won the fight and the game.
Yeah, they did. Be sure to hit us up at LOL Esports with your selection for player of the game. Your options are Mini Trupax, Jizuke, and Jack Troll. I know who I'm giving that to, because if you want to flash over the wall as an AD carry into 3 enemy players, you got to have some pretty big cojones.
That's very fair. For me, I think I kind of want to go for Jizuke this time. I feel like his walls were a big part as to why they were able to keep the team in the game, and I also just think that the fact that he was so solid throughout the game just demonstrates how talented of an individual he is and why he's the front runner for a rookie of the split.
I have to see if he's able to keep that role. To get his thoughts on Vitality's win, let's check in with Law and Jizuke.
Thank you very much, Medic. Indeed, I'm here with Jizuke after this fantastic and unexpected win, actually, against Splyce. How are you feeling with this victory?
I'm feeling really good. We had the creative ways to, they will win team fight, and they will win side. So we found creative ways to get back in the game, and it worked. We went on Vladimir pretty much all the time, and they forced the Nashor, but their Nashor is really slow because they had Jhin. So we poked them hard and we ended the game here.
Yeah, talk me through that last team fight with creativity you mentioned. What did you decide on that last Baron team fight for you to win the game?
Like we knew they would force an Asher because that's their only play, pretty much. So we said, just make a play on Vladimir. They will force an Asher again, but this time without the Vladimir, which was the strongest champion for them. Like he was pretty much one-shotting us. So we put the Vladimir on one side, the other for Nasher pit, and we kind of knew that if they go for end of Nasher, we would just kill them all and end the game. And it worked out, so it was a gamble, but it worked out.
A bit more about this game and the Sion pick, because you were playing against Sion in the mid lane.
Yeah.
What makes this pick so strong at the moment?
It's Sion is a really lane dominant champion, and the strong part about it is that he's really flexible, like top lane, mid lane, support. I've seen some, and yeah, like there is pretty much no counterplay to it, so everyone is playing it right now.
And it seemed to be really effective, accepted today, of course. Last question for you. Tomorrow it will be your last game of the regular season against G2. How are you feeling about this match?
I'm feeling really good. I can't wait to play against Perks again. Last time it was pretty rough for us. We had issues in draft and issues like mental-wise altogether, so we didn't really play the game. So I'm really looking forward to play tomorrow against G2.
Yeah, and that's the story for another day. But for the moment, let's get it back to Shox and the guys for the post-game analysis.
Thank you very much, Laure. Nice to hear from Jizuke. I can't believe they won that game. I actually want to start by taking a look back at the final fight because it seemed lost for Vitality. It seemed like Splyce had the upper hand after getting the Baron. Let's take a look because Vitality somehow find a way to turn this game around again.
I like the fact they go bot lane to kill Ramne.
Yeah.
I think that was really good. The best thing Gilius could have done at the moment. Splyce didn't have to all in for Baron on their side. It could have just lost the bottom side and then that's it. Because as Jizuke said, they have a very slow Baron. They had this game in the back. This game was done.
This game was really, really over. Especially on the Nash play itself. It wasn't even too bad, but you just actually have to focus on the Nash. They're legit dancing around.
They started mixing it up a little bit.
It just made no sense. The shotgun just seemed to go like haywire there.
Very hectic situation.
Yeah.
Not something you can practice. Definitely.
So in a hectic situation, I would have thought, seeing the last couple of weeks of play, that Splyce would have the upper hand in those, that they would make the right decisions in the split moments that it was important, but it was Vitality.
They did for basically like all the moments leading up to this one moment. And then I think when Gilius kills Oramne there, they've already committed to the Baron, and they probably didn't feel like they could get out or they would lose the Baron. So they're like, we have to finish it. And then they end up actually being in a situation where Shen is already pushing, which is why they could finish. That was a crazy ending.
And you guys are quite frustrated because I know you guys always love to talk about how the game is being played correctly. And it actually frustrates you guys when it doesn't happen the way it should. So did Vitality steal a win here?
I mean, honestly, I was really critical of the comp. I really didn't like the at all.
I like their comp.
It was, for me, it was too focused around this one play, which is getting the bot lane turret and then pushing that lead from there. And they didn't execute that properly. And then suddenly they still win, you know. In my head, it's just like, how do you do that? And how do you get away with that, you know?
Best team in the world, clearly, that is what it is.
So,
whatever.
I wouldn't say they stole a win because the last play was actually well executed on their side.
Yeah, I guess.
And clearly, the very last play happened to be in favor of them, with them saying, kill bot lane, we can stop them at Baron. That was just good shot calling. Maybe they didn't expect to win the game based on it, but it was a great play, and that's why actually they deserve to win.
That's what I was trying to get at. Sometimes it's not about winning in the correct way. Sometimes if you do make those decisions at the last moment and are creative, you can win it. But the reason we do talk about that is because Splyce, up until then, played a very clean game. Let's take a look at our next replay, which is Splyce just moments before in the Baron, and this they actually play out very well.
Yeah, and this is another moment where it is actually like kind of, you know, hectic and chaotic, but they played so clean because they know when to kite in and out. Kobe is really good at playing Jhin as well, and this is where we would like, this game is over. Like, this is going to happen every time.
Yeah, these are, like, I would say, even though it's hectic, I think it's still controlled in a way where they obviously understand their series. They obviously understand that they can have, like Silent run in, like Kobe ult down. And it's still, like, within what they probably practiced. But as soon as they were thrown off guard, which is something Vitality is actually surprisingly good at, it seemed to all fall apart.
And this is also just the power sometimes of like best of one.
Yeah.
Where one big play like this one, which I don't think anyone expected to end the actual game, because we're still early enough in the game for it to not just be done based on one play, is enough for Vitality to then win. Like everything just worked for them in that last moment.
And Vitality has done that a couple of times over the split, banking on some of their carries to make the final
Of
moves.
course.
In this case, player of the game, Mini Trupax, the Portuguese pony, I guess we were calling him, with 50% of the votes. I would like to give the mental edge in this player of the game vote to Jack Troll. Possibly he was the most happy I've seen a player in a long time with a best of one win.
It actually reminded me of the old like kiss me moment where it was the same kind of setup. But I've never seen anyone on a big stage in front of so many people just go at it.
Kudos, that is love. Well, let's take a look at these standings. How does this influence our very interesting standings in the EU LCS? Well, G2, Splyce, and Vitality, they can all still make second place, so nothing has changed there. If Splyce had won, they would have been in a much better position, and Vitality would have been out of that second place race.
And very important to highlight that Vitality are 2-0 over Splyce. So if Vitality win tomorrow, they will get second place. Because even if Splyce win a tie,
G2,
and that's against G2,
who's
of course.
also still in the race.
So they
for
can
that
actually
second
give
place.
G2 fourth place, guarantee second for themselves. But if they lose tomorrow and Splyce win, Splyce is back at second place.
The most interesting implications of this is basically like, honestly, the semi-final matchup that's going to happen for Fnatic in that case, because like whoever is going to take, it should realistically face up Fnatic in the semi-finals, no? If I made the math correctly.
If whoever's what?
Yeah.
If they beat then the team that they face,
exactly.
well, that's going a little far.
Yeah,
I
but
think.
like still, it's just interesting to think about because like there's so many playoff matchups that go different ways, and I think for example for Splyce, it would be really interesting to match up with Fnatic. So I think that matchup is like
right.
Well, you know, we're going to discuss a lot more of that playoff implications and how teams would do in the playoffs in the post-game lobby after our last game. So tune in for that if you want to hear more of these guys' interesting analysis about those playoffs. And for the finals in Copenhagen on the 7th and 8th of April, we're also giving 20 ticket holders a chance to play on the big stage ahead of the game. So that's a nice bonus if you're coming to watch. All you have to do is buy a ticket for both show days, and then you get a chance at that. You can find those tickets at eu.lolesports.com.
That's pretty easy to do. Just
log on and
there you go.
all right, fantastic. So we'll see you after the break. Go buy those tickets.
Onto the route, Niski there on the front line, just making smash, they're going to chase in. The stun, Jizuke dodging to the back, and the lantern in time, no! It's Jizuke with the Weaver's Walks, blocks off Odo and Niski, and now Splyce have to work something out because Kappa's going to flash in, Jizuke kills Odo.